Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio. So today, we are going to be looking at Solgaleo, but not Solgaleo GX. He's had his video, in fact he's had two. We're going to be looking at the non-EX from the Sun and Moon Strengthening Expansion Pack. Now I don't think at this stage it's a spoiler, but if you haven't played Sun and Moon and you don't know already, it might be worth turning off. You've been warned, he's a stage 2. I've given you the spoiler alert, you can't be mad at me for that. So we got to bear that in mind as we go through with Solgaleo. He is a stage 2. That means that he's a little bit slower. We're going to be relying on rare candy to get him out. It means that we're going to be having to play Cosmog and Cosmion as well, which means that it's just going to be a little bit slower. However, there's a lot to like about Solgaleo. Now, the fact that he is a metal Pokemon means that you are hitting for weakness against things like Xerneas and your Mega Gardevoir, both of which are quite good, both of which it's good to be able to hit for weakness against. 160 HP is pretty good, and let's not forget that you could, if you really wanted, play Heavy Boots, given his retreat cost of 3, and that would put him up to 180 HP. Although probably playing Choice Band to do an extra 30 against EXs and GXs might be a little bit better here. Now, being weak to fire is a bit of a pain because of stuff like Volcanion and Incineroar, but you can't have it all. If you really want to get rid of the weakness, don't forget that in the Sun and Moon Strengthening Expansion Pack, we have Altar of the Sun, a stadium that removes weakness from metal and fire Pokemon. So if you really want to get rid of the weakness here, you totally can. And there isn't actually a stadium that you have to play here, so it could be an option. Now, if you wish instead, you could play Reverse Valley, so that you take 10 less damage from attacks, although I would argue here that maybe Altar of the Sun is a slightly better option. And you have a resistance to Psychic, and resistance is always good. Now here we got 2 attacks. The first one allows you to do 50 damage for a metal and a colourless, and you can do that 50 damage anywhere. And this is really annoying because it's 50 damage. If it was 60 damage, we get a one-hit KO on the bench from stuff like Rowlet, and things like Eevee, and things like Litten, but we don't. 50 is not enough. Most of the evolving basics have 60 HP. Doing 50 is a pain. However, we will be one-hit KOing things like Joltik, Magikarp, Rattata, all of whom C plays. So it's not the end of the world, but if this was 60 HP, I would love this as a way of sniping other Stage 1, Stage 2 deck basics. But you can't get as many cheeky KOs as you should with this. And to be honest, the worst thing about this card is that this hits for 50, not 60. Otherwise, I would like it a lot more. Second attack, 2 metal, 1 colourless, 170, cannot use Soul Fang during your next turn. Now, when we say can't use it during your next turn, I mean, you can just switch and put him back in the active. You can use something like a Zoroark to jump in the active and then free retreat with Floatstone. Or, and you might remember this trick from Volcanion EX, who has the same problem, just play a Pokemon Ranger. Now, it is your only supporter for the turn, but it gets rid of the effect of the attack, being that you can't use it the following turn, so you can use it the following turn. Now, 170 damage on a non-EX Pokemon, and a non-GX at that as well, is pretty gosh darn good. Something like Yveltal EX has 170 HP. But it's not limited to this. Choice Band, which comes out in the same Sun and Moon Strengthening Expansion Pack, does an extra 30 to EXs or GXs. Now we're talking 200. Now we play Professor Kukui to do an extra 20 damage. Now you're talking 220 on a non-EX. I really, really like this card, but I just think it's a little bit too slow. Like the HP, love the one-hit KOing potential here, but it's free energy, and it's on a stage 2. Now in Expanded, we've got Bronzong. Bronzong's pretty good, because it means that you can accelerate the energy onto your bench Solgaleos, and that is going to help immensely in being able to get the energy on there. You can try and use max elixirs onto your Cosmog, but the problem is here that you really want to be evolving as fast as possible. Evolving up to a stage 2 is not ideal, but the free energy is what really hurts this. The not using the attack the following turn is not a problem because of stuff like Pokemon Ranger, but you know, I mean, I've talked about Dragonite. He can attack for a double dragon energy. I've talked about Incineroar. He can attack for a basic fire energy. Solgaleo is a stage 2 like them, but the free energy cost is a bit too much. I'm giving him between 2 and 3 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. Now, if you're playing a Solgaleo GX deck, and a bunch of you might be, I've certainly heard people talking about it, well, you could just play one of these because you're already going to be playing Cosmog and Rare Candy. And because it's got a different name, Solgaleo GX, you can play this in addition to your 4 Solgaleo GXs. As a tech in that deck, I like it a lot. As a deck on its own, I think it's too gosh darn slow. But you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen? We have a comment section. If you want to disagree with me, go nuts. Be nice. There are buttons to both like this video and subscribe to this channel, and I would very much appreciate it if you would use them both. Follow me on Twitter @TheWassie if you're so inclined. And the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.